Thank you very much for staying. Let's now move to the very first story. And Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has started engaging investors in Asia over its planned Eurobond sale. The minister is leading a government delegation which is currently in Singapore as part of the Asian study tour. So why is that region, and would Asian investors offer some good rates compared to Europe and the Americas? There's more in this report.
Sources say the team made up of Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Deputy Ministers of Finance, Energy, Information and the Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, are turning their attention to Asia after a similar exercise in Europe when it comes to this whole non-deal roadshow. They actually want to test the pulse of the market in terms of finding out the concerns of investors in those regions when it comes to government finances and the economy. The team would also be using the engagement to understudy the Asian market as part of efforts by government to make Ghana a financial hub in the region. However, for some, will the concerns raised by European investors on the economy, budget deficit and revenue challenges be different from the Asian investors? While others are of the view that going to the Asian market is strategic and that governments would be able to gather targeted investors and some good rates for the upcoming Eurobond.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, Yofi Grant, who is part of the team, has been speaking to Joy Business from Singapore.
It helps Ghana diversify its sources of finance, debt capital finance. So helps Ghana reach other types of investors apart from our traditional investors who very often come from North America and Europe. And so it's important, a diversification strategy. It's critical to secure new investment partners for Ghana only because they come with a different flavor. And apart from that, Asia doesn't know Africa to the same extent as Europe and America when it comes to fixed income or debt securities. So for us, this is very important, and we hope that it will enable us to get a new type of investor for next and upcoming Eurobond auction. I believe that this non-deal roadshow would expose Ghana to the Asian investor, not only for fixed income securities and debt instruments, but also as an attractive investment opportunity as we highlight what Ghana stands for and what Ghana offers.
All right, so that was CEO of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center reaching us out there with his views. Now, to place all this in perspective, we have on the line economist Professor Godfred Bokwin to also shed some light. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the marketplace.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to your cherished viewers.
Now, how strategic is going to the Asian market to government?
Pardon? The question wasn't clear.
Yes, I just want to know how very strategic is the decision to go to the Asian market to raise Eurobond sale to government?
They want to know how helpful it will be to government.
Well, so to speak, yeah.
Well, I think that there's nothing wrong essentially in government's effort to diversify their engagement with investors. I mean, we have focused more over the years in Europe, North America, and the rest of them. But I think that the Asian market is also quite huge. If you look at it in terms of sovereign wealth ranking in the world, Singapore, for instance, is in the top 5. The sovereign wealth of Singapore alone is in excess of $300 billion. Okay. With yields lower than 4% over the years, perhaps it may be an avenue for them to consider Ghana and other African countries in terms of their effort to also diversify. So there's nothing wrong. I think what government is doing currently is a non-deal roadshow, so there will be no firm commitment necessarily. But it's also good to open up our economy to the Asian world because, of course, in terms of risk and all of that will not be different necessarily. But it's also important to court new investors and open our economy to other investors in the Asian world. And we may also, the impact may not be that immediate as we would have expected, but I think it is also important to engage them and in terms of telling our story to them. And whilst, apart from that, there are best practices that I want to believe that we can learn from the Asian countries, especially Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan, South Korea. So in that regard, I wouldn't think that it's a bad move. I think that it's strategic. If we want to make Ghana a financial hub for Africa, then it requires that we learn from best practices. What good things can we pick from there? What can we pick from here? Also piece them together. There's really no time to reinvent everything all over. But
all right.
So let's look at it within that context.
Sure. Now, we have dealt with the Western world for quite some time when it comes to raising Eurobonds. Now, this new direction, is it not going to have any impact, negative impact, of course, on investors in the West?
No, it will not. Even in the investment landscape, there is what we call investor fatigue, when every now and then they will always have to wake up and hear from one particular issuer, Ghana, this and all of that. And therefore, the need to diversify may also spell some positive development from Europe and North America. That, of course, government is also looking elsewhere. After all, how much are we looking to raise? So we are looking at offering the opportunity to as many people as possible. The restaurant level may not be the same. That is not to suggest that the Asians will do us a favor and overlook the risk inherent in our economy. And going to Asia necessarily is not a substitute for doing the right thing domestically. So again, they will all consider the political and economic fundamentals of the country in their decision making. But the point is that there's greater benefit to be achieved in terms of diversifying the investor base in terms of our engagement with them. And perhaps we could get a good deal in the future. Or it could also spell changes in terms of investor attitude towards Ghana, even in Western countries as well.
All right, now, do we stand a chance of getting a good deal, like you said, by way of the coupon rates that we expect to get out of these Eurobond sales?
I think that will be the ultimate goal for government. One, the rate at which we borrow, and then the amount, and then the maturity of the facility. These three things are very important to us today. Because, you see, bear in mind that this government has taken on so many developmental projects, and that requires financing. So once our revenue envelope remains dwarf, there is the need, there is the urgency to actually complement whatever revenue government is able to generate domestically from external capital. That is very important. But that said, the rate at which you borrow then to close your infrastructure deficit also has implications for productivity growth in the host country like Ghana. Okay. So these are factors that they would want to consider. I want to believe that it might be part of the reason why they are diversifying, looking at the Asian market and then other emerging markets as well.
All right, many thanks for your time, Prof. And that was Professor Godfred Bokpin. He is from the University of Ghana Business School. He's been sharing his thoughts on the decision by the Finance Minister to direct attention to Asia to explore some more bond sales. Now, away from that, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, is calling on governments of ECOWAS member states to declare proceeds from all levies imposed on traders within the bloc. According to GUTA, the citizens in the sub-region are charged higher taxes at various points of entry without meaningful disclosure of what such funds are being used for. President of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Opong, made the call in an interview with Joy Business. Ebenezer Sabuti has more in this report.
The adoption of the new ECOWAS levy of 0.2% charged on all goods from non-member countries took effect last month after heads of member states agreed to the convention at the just-ended summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The levy is supposed to be paid on all imports from countries outside the ECOWAS bloc. Commenting on the development with Joy Business, President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, Dr. Joseph Opong said the levies must be accounted for.
We are being surcharged with 0.5% from the ECOWAS levy, which has never been accounted for to us. We don't know how much we pay to the ECOWAS Secretariat for the. We haven't asked for now. We will start doing that because now cumulatively it's getting 0.7% from our working capital to these organizations, and so we need the accounting of it, the accountability. It should be accounted for us. You understand? Because now 50 million. Close to 50 or above $1 million to ECOWAS. What is ECOWAS doing to us? What have they established? Have they compile this money and then give it even as credit back to us, to the business community, or what? What are they doing? What research are they even, have they put even to help the business community?
He therefore suggests that such funds be put into business development with member nations.
The European community is there, and we know what the European community have been doing to their member states and their citizens in those countries. So it's not that ECOWAS will just come out, take some money, and then we don't even see. Is it being used even for agriculture so that it can be used to mitigate famine in one country when a famine breaks out or what? Is it being used for health purposes and all that? But if it is being used for the running of the secretariat, then definitely there's something wrong somewhere.
The 0.2% levy, according to the Ghana Revenue Authority, will be deducted at all borders and points of entry.
Turning our attention now to the energy sector, and government has decided to convert all hydropower dams in the country into a hybrid project. This will include the construction of a solar panel on the about 4,000-kilometer water surface on the already existing Akosombo and Bui hydro dams. To this end, the Ministry of Energy and International Energy Company ENI Ghana have signed an MOU to begin construction works. Minister of Energy Boache Jako, who signed on behalf of government, has been explaining further the rationale behind the move.
The combination of solar with hydro could give us great potential in terms of use and speed of conversion. In terms of use, we have over 4,000 square miles of water bodies, surface area, and we have 3 dams in production, hydro production. The idea, therefore, is to make sure that every single dam built and yet to be built would have a solar component, so that we run solar either with storage or without storage during the day and run hydro at night. The advantages in our view are as follows. One, it will allow us to manage the reservoir much better in terms of drawdown. We would use the switchyard, same switchyard for the hydro in evacuating solar power in order to bypass any limitations of loading a variable source of power onto our grid. And there are other advantages which should come, so that if we put the PV panels on the water bodies largely, then we save the situation of land use. Our waters would get cooler. Cooler waters means that you get more oxygen. More oxygen means more plankton. More plankton means more fish. So the cycle, if we are able to do it, gives us great benefits. Happily, Bui Power Authority, in its wisdom following this vision, have started a great project of adding solar components to Bui Dam. They envisage a total of 250 megawatts and have started with 50. And I guess that incrementally, Bui, in a very few years, should be able to fulfill its dream of adding 250 megawatts to its 400 megawatts, thus making it possible for Bui Dam to add a total of 700 megawatts to our energy stream.
All right, so we'll be coming back to the petroleum sector, the downstream sector this time round and very soon. But before then, rural banks are being encouraged to explore microfinance group lending schemes in order to extend services, especially to the informal sector. Chief Executive of Amenfiman Rural Bank, Dr. Alex Asma, says improved coverage of the unbanked population will facilitate credit access. He was speaking at the launch of the bank's 16th branch at Serhi-Bekwai in the Western region. Prince Apia reports.
Access to credit remains a major challenge to small and medium-scale businesses in the informal sector. Amenfiman Rural Bank says it has discovered the microfinance group lending scheme as potential remedy. So what is the difference between individual and group microfinancing? A CEO of the bank, Dr. Alex Asma, explains.
Individual microfinancing is, let's say, small loans to the lower income earning people so that they are able to do businesses on their own. And because it is to individuals, they will normally have to do some savings to provide a lien as a way of guaranteeing their loan. Or they have to get somebody to come and guarantee them that they will repay the loan. But when it comes to the group lending, we do not require you to do a lien or to bring somebody to come and guarantee you. The members in the group guarantee from each other. We call it the group solidarity. So let's say we have 5 people in a group. Each member in the group guarantees for each other. So what we have agreed to do is that the banks will give us 10,000 Ghana cedis. Each one of us will have 2,000 Ghana cedis. And we are going to make sure that we support each other to be able to pay the loan. The responsibility then falls on the group if a member in the group defaults. So you make sure that once we all know ourselves in the same community, we become checker on each other and we make sure that we do the right thing so that we are able to repay the loan. So you don't have to provide guarantee, you don't have to provide collaterals, you don't have to provide lien. We only get the support from the bank because we have a dedicated officer assigned to you, visit the group weekly and then have meetings with the group so that when they have issues, then you can support them to address the issues and also repay.
He spoke to Love Business at the opening of the Sesui Bekwai branch of the Amenfima Rural Bank, which becomes the 16th branch opened by the Rural Bank across the country. The opening ceremony attracted many stakeholders in the banking industry and traditional leaders in the Sesui Bekwai traditional area. Dr. Asma believes it is critical for industry players to look for alternatives to support businesses in the lower middle income bracket.
If rural banks, all of us will embark on group lending as a way of supporting the lower income brackets of our population, you will very soon realize that we'll be able to build capacities of the customers in our markets, and we'll be able to move them to the small enterprises and to the medium enterprises, and very soon we will have our own company. So instead of fighting over companies, over corporate institutions with traditional universal banks, we can build our own markets at our own base and grow them gradually. Because out of the 15,000 people that we have, I'm telling you, we have a lot of them who have now grown. Instead of taking the group lending, they are now taking their own money from the bank on their own account, because they have learned how to save and how to use their own savings as a lien to be able to take money from the bank, because it's a great idea, and the United Nations has already endorsed microfinance as the strategy to fight poverty in the world.
Prince Apia reporting.
Now, still in Kumasi, the Trade and Industry Ministry is urging woodworkers to emphasize value addition on their products to make them competitive on the international market. Sector Minister Alan Kwadwo Chemanting says it will also ensure sustainable use of timber resources to protect the dwindling forest reserves. He made a call in a speech read for him at the commissioning of Forestry Research Institute of Ghana's Wood and Furniture Training Center in Kumasi.
Trade in timber and timber products contributes 5 to 7% of the country's gross domestic product. Unfortunately, the industry is characterized by export of primary and secondary products. The magnitude of tertiary processed products and the resultant foreign exchange has declined over the years. Mr. Chemanting acknowledges the high-quality wood species in the country. He says producers of furniture and other wood products should strive for international standards. The minister's address was read by Professor Alex Dodu, head of Ghana Standards Authority.
The Forestry Commission Timber Industry Development Division export data indicates that the timber market in Ghana is export-oriented. Increased trade values or high income from timber products can be achieved when you add value. Indeed, the figures from the Forestry Commission shows that in 2016, Ghana got just over 236 million from the export of timber and wood products. Sadly, most of this is from primary or secondary exports, more than 90%. So things like lumber, plywood, and veneer. However, if we add value to the timber, we can increase our value substantially.
State-of-the-art facility was set up last year to improve quality of locally made furniture. Officials anticipate growth for the sector through efficient utilization of wood species, product development and standardization. The center is the first of its kind in West Africa and the third on the continent only after Egypt and South Africa. United Nations Industrial Development Organization set it up with funding from Swiss government. It's under the Trade Capacity Building Program of the State Secretariat for Economic Affairs. Faroudin Azizi is UNIDO representative to Ghana and Liberia.
We have always emphasized the role and participation of the private sector, R&D, and government institution. UNIDO, through its TCB project in Ghana, is ready in every way to cooperate and support private sector, academic institutions, and government institutions in their activities. We want Ghanaian investors to come forward and improve their quality products and actively participate in their local economy.
Director of the Forest Research Institute of Ghana, Professor Daniel Eniaje-Ofori, appeals to government to encourage certification of wood products on the local markets to sustain the new center. Reporter for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
Again, return to the energy sector and to the downstream sector, and prices of petroleum products could be reduced from the middle of this month. This follows confirmation by the National Petroleum Authority's boss, Hassan Tampuli, that government is working to review some taxes on fuel. Hassan Tampuli has also revealed the much criticized 15% special petroleum tax, SPT, charged consumers at the pumps will soon be made a specific tax. Let's now engage the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, which last week embarked on a demonstration to vent out their anger against rising price fuel. And we have on the line Executive Secretary of the Chamber, Duncan Amwa, to give us his thoughts on this particular development. Good afternoon, Duncan. Welcome to the marketplace.
Good afternoon.
Now, what, do you really embrace this call by the MPA to review the SPT to make it a specific tax?
Indeed, it is welcoming. The only bit we are not certain about is the extent of review. And so we have decided that we will give up to a week to monitor further and advise ourselves going forward. It must be placed on record that we are asking for a complete scrapping of the SPT around this time when government's own projection of $57.5 for 2018 is being met, and even gaining stop losses as a result of international market price increases. One would ask what the SPT is still there doing in the price build. And so if the NPA has agreed to do a review, one would expect that it would not be completely lost on them to scrap altogether. Although any attempt to review the current real figure from 54 per West, 53 per West, to anything around 50 would be fiercely resisted. We are looking for some significant cuts in that particular tax and not repositioning or just reviewing from the 15% only to charge the same value on the price build-up as we have today. So we are keeping a very close eye on the development, and I'm sure it would inform our next lines of action going forward.
Now, a decision to maintain or to make it, to convert it into a specific tax. Now, how impactful would it be on prices?
That's exactly what I meant by it depends on the level of the review in quote. If the review is such that today at 53, 54 per West, we are going to see it drop to about 10 per West, then one can say that Ghanaians could get some 40 per West relief in prices. But if it goes anything to 50, 51 per West from the current 53, one could say that it would naturally amount to some joke of a sort. And so we'll keep a close eye on this, whilst cautioning that something significant is given to Ghanaians for prices to drop to around, say, 18 Ghana cedis, such that we can be able to afford without a complaint. But 21 plus, any attempt to do 3-4 pesos would equally not be welcome at this point.
Well, now, finally, would you be happy because there are other price tax components within the price built up? Now, if governments should downwardly review this SPT, what about the others that you have also been calling for removal?
Indeed, we have called for a complete scrapping of the SPT as a start, because we know that the original intended purpose has been served when government was losing revenue from its own projected 56 at the time, and it was around 30. Today, government's own projection of 7.5 is being met and over. And so the SPT, if alone could be scrapped, should see fuel prices drop by as much as 2 cedis 40 pesos. If, however, it is not scrapped and reviewed down to some 10 pesos, I'm sure Ghanaians will still save about 2 cedis of their fuel purchases. Any other reviews on the other taxes would equally be welcome, but our target mainly and principally has to do with the SPT for now.
Many thanks for your time. Duncan Amwa is the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana. He's been sharing his thoughts on the decision by the NPA to actually convert the special petroleum tax into a specific tax. And on that note, we wrap up this afternoon's edition of The Marketplace. Many thanks for your time. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafe. Let's meet again, same time tomorrow. Have a good afternoon.